Hey everybody, happy Thursday. It is Thursday, the something of August, really getting close to the end of August, and praise all of the things. That means spring is coming. So today is How To Thursday, and a revolving conversation or a resounding, hey Ainsley, good morning. Big conversation I've had multiple times this week, actually. Good morning, Margaret. Has really been around boundaries, and more importantly, people not knowing or not trusting their intuition all of the time. Hey, Dad. A lot of their intuition around when to draw a boundary and when not, and what that means and things like that. Now, first of all, most people think that putting a boundary in place is all about keeping the other people out, right? Now, that might be out of your field, it might be out of your life, it might be out of your world, out of your reality, whatever it is. Whereas what I would really love you to consider is that maybe boundaries is more about keeping your own stuff in. And really making sure that you're protecting your energy, protecting your space, and things like that. So the way that this can play out, so I ran an event over on the weekend just gone, and one of the things that we were talking about was the drama triangle, and how people can inadvertently get dragged into other people's vortex of drama without meaning to necessarily, and things like that. So this might happen with clients, it might happen with friends, it might happen at events that you go to, or relationships, friendships, school moms, that type of stuff. So you imagine a triangle, and on one point of the triangle we've got victim, on the other point of the triangle we've got persecutor, and on another side of the triangle we've got rescuer. So what tends to happen is that someone will come along, and for whatever reason they might be trying to prove that they are right, that their way is the right way. Maybe they're looking for attention. Maybe they are, it could be any number of things. It might be them on a power trip trying to assert their power and things like that. So when somebody comes in, and sometimes this can look like, somebody really working hard to try and control different situations. Hey Sandra, good morning. Happy Thursday. So what happens is that they can often step into persecutor mode. And what the persecutor will do is make somebody else wrong. And usually people react. A lot of the time, humans, we're emotional beings, we're spiritual beings, as well as being physical beings. And often what will happen is that we can get drawn in and we can feel victimized by that person that is doing whatever it is that they're doing. Now, this might be someone who is demanding a refund in your thing, in your service, in your product, at your event. It might be someone who, while you're coaching or mentoring them, they, for whatever reason, they make you wrong. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you can really take that to heart, right? And you can feel like you've been victimized. And what happens then is that you're immediately stuck in, or not stuck, but you find yourself in their drama triangle. Now, what can happen is that if you then get defensive, is that you can shift from victim into persecutor. And the other person that you've been dealing with can sometimes then go into rescuer mode, which is where they'll say, oh, look, no, I'm really sorry. That is not what I meant. And I didn't mean it in that way. And I'm really sorry that you felt that way. And they try and make you feel better. And then usually that then flicks you back over to feeling victimized, and it means that they can then move over again. So what can happen if you're unaware is that this triangle, you can kind of like dance between all three of those positions, and they can dance between all three of those positions in a conversation. It can happen really quickly, and it can happen over time. What happens though is that in order for you to be able to get out of that, so it's really important that you are really discerning around who you let into your awareness and who you let into your field. And this is where the boundaries become really important. So if you find yourself in any moment in time, if you think that someone is being a bit of a persecutor, or they're really trying to rescue you or someone else, don't buy into their drama. And that's about drawing a boundary. It's like, and it's almost like the conscious decision around, you know what, I'm not buying into this. I got nothing to prove here. Like, I'm not even interested in getting into the conversation. You don't have to have that verbal conversation. It can happen in your head. It's being really discerning around what you allow yourself to kind of get sucked into, because it's really exhausting. Now, I've seen this play out with myself when we've had different things go on over the years in different ways, shape and form. And usually what happens is that the person who's looking to try and create some kind of power, they want to feel more superior or better. And usually the way that they can do that is by putting other people down, whether it's myself or whether it's other people in their world or in their lives and things like that. So be really aware about that. So the boundary that we want to draw is something that you want to put in place the moment you get the niggle or the feeling or the intuitive hit that something is a bit off here, right? If you're feeling uncomfortable in a conversation, it is more than okay for you to say to the other party, the other person or whatever, this is a conversation I don't want to be part of anymore. Really happy to chat with you, but let's talk about something else. So you can draw a boundary in that way. You can draw a boundary in a way that is like, either you can do it by distancing yourself and just not even buying into a conversation. I had a gentleman reach out to me who wanted to find out a whole bunch of stuff with some things that are going on in my personal life, and I just ignored it. He said, like, I'm not buying in. He sent me another message saying, hey, how are you? And I said, oh, I'm really good. How are you? I don't want to buy into the other part of the conversation. It is totally unnecessary, and I'm not, the thing here is that it's not about you proving yourself right. It's not about you, trying to be a higher person or better than anyone else. It's just about you being really clear around what you're going to let in and what you're going to keep in and then let out. So it can look like that. It might be where if you're in a conversation, like I said, if you're in a conversation with someone and you don't like how it's going, and if you feel like you're kind of being drawn in, then it's being okay and brave enough to say, you know what, I'm not having this conversation anymore, I thank you, and being able to walk away. Most people have trouble doing that. And one of the reasons for that is usually that they don't want the other person to feel bad. So you're thinking, and which is really beautiful, and it's, it's lovely, and I'm really glad that you're being compassionate and empathetic about how that other person is and how they're feeling. But it's not your job to try and control their emotional state or mitigate their response. They are going to do whatever the heck it is that they're going to do without you worrying about it. Does that make sense, everyone? Can you let me know that you're with me? This is something that I found this really hard to do early on, because, I want everyone to like me, right? I want everyone to get results from my stuff. I want everyone to have fun. I want everyone to feel included and things like that. And it can be, I thought that if I was to draw a boundary, then they would not, that maybe they wouldn't like me anymore. And there's like all those what ifs that then start to play out. And guys, it's not up to you to try and control, what happens on their end. Sandra, thanks for commenting. She said, often someone who's in victim mode will not realize that this is the case. Absolutely. So this is where, I want you guys to have your self-awareness antennas on for any kind of, thanks Karina, for any kind of, if you see this going on, because drama attracts more drama, right? I don't have time for drama. I don't know about you. I got other shit to do. I'm busy. I got people to help and things to do and kids to raise and relationships to have, and I'm not interested in drama at all. Sandra's also said sometimes the person moves from victim and goes straight to persecutor. Absolutely. absolutely. And that usually happens when they get defensive or they flick into being or offensive. It's really interesting for some of you. You may or may not know. I was in a domestic violence relationship, and all the stuff that goes along with that for about 4.5 years. I did not realize until the last year that I was even a victim in that. And looking back historically, I could see how, in order for me to feel like I was gaining some power back, I would definitely step into persecutor mode. I wish I knew then what I know now, right? The beauty of lessons, and thank God I got out. But yeah, crazy. Karina said, misery loves company. Absolutely. Karina are trying to divert the attention from themselves to somebody else. Yeah, you're right. How this plays out in our businesses, and how this plays out in marketing, how this plays out with clients and in coaching relationships and stuff like that, is sometimes if people are feeling like they're missing something, or they might be looking for a reason or an excuse to not implement either your stuff or whatever, they can be. And it's not usually something that happens at the front of their mind consciously or strategically or anything like that, but sometimes they're just looking to make you wrong. They're looking to make you the bad guy. They're not willing to take that responsibility for themselves, and therefore they'll often transfer it over to you. So be aware in friendships and relationships and things like that. Be aware of how it plays out in there as well. Remember, you've got nothing to prove. The easiest way, I think, that I've learned over the years to draw boundaries is just to, in your head, if you realize that something is going on, just sit there and think, isn't this interesting? I've got nothing to prove. I've got nothing to prove here. And if you do that, you won't take on that victim status. Like, you won't put on the victim hat. You then won't put on the persecutor hat. You then won't feel the need to step into being a rescuer, right? So just almost have that level of observance of observing the situation, and be really discerning around how you then interact and engage. Does it require being aware all the time? Yes. Are we human though? Yes. You're going to screw up. It's okay. It's fine. And just to have that awareness that if you do feel like you're kind of being drawn into something, that you're able to then eventually go, oh, hold up, this is what's going on, and then realign, reassess. The boundaries that I think are really important are, number one, people boundaries. Making sure that you are hanging out with, working with people that are similar, they share similar values to you. Otherwise, you can feel like you're always sort of like trying to, it can be hard work, right? Hey, Joe, good morning. Welcome. Good to see you. Kind of see you. See your name. Good to see your name pop up. So be aware around the people that you bring in. So unfortunately, I needed to break up with a girlfriend of mine because everything that we were talking about or that she was talking about all the time was just negative stuff. And it took me about 2 years to finally draw the boundary there, and it really hurt. It hurt me. I didn't want to hurt her, but it was a necessary thing to happen. So people boundaries are important. Yeah. Another important thing is around your energetic boundaries. So what's really cool, let me draw you a picture, is there's always energy transference, right? I hope you guys can see this. It's not going to be a very good thing. So let's say that this is you. This is your person, like that's you. That's your energetic bubble. Yeah. And we've got them over here. That might be mirrored. And I'm really glad that you love my super awesomely graphically designed drawing that we're doing today. So what happens is that's you. So from an energetic perspective, there's energy transference, right? It kind of can go back and forth. So when you're engaging and interacting with people, just be aware, are they kind of feeding you, or are they draining you? Is it a fairly even energetic exchange? Because you'll know if you're around people and it's just always draining, then you need to draw that can be another indication that you need to draw a human boundary around letting them in, and then also making sure that you're kind of protecting your energy. Yeah. They're probably the two main types. Oh, and then you've got your physical boundaries. I've got this client, and I was helping her out over the last couple of days in Melbourne at an expo, and it's really interesting seeing the way that people behave and things like that over the course of the day. And I was chatting with one of the other ladies who was working on the stand with us. So there was her and I, and we were talking about business stuff. We were talking about people and things like that. And this guy randomly walked in, and he was like right here, like right there up in our grill. And I was just like, whoa, it was almost like a physical bang. It was really very, very strange. And he just interjected himself directly into our conversation, and it was really quite weird and incredibly rude, but that's a whole other conversation. So, you know, the energy there was like, he was like, so hang on, that's them. He was like all up in here, and it was just like, this is inappropriate. And it was just like, almost imagine that there's a, you know, like a Spider-Man web going out through your hands, just going like, you know, creating that almost like an energetic boundary as well as a physical one. I really hope that helps you. Karina said, when you live your truth, you'll attract people that are of similar values. Yes, you will. That doesn't stop, though, some other people coming into your worlds and into your lives and into your reality. Often what will happen if we've got people that are coming in that have different values, either they are wanting to be like you, and if we think about it energetically, they might be wanting to kind of like lift to where you are. You know, people are attracted to shiny things, right? So if you're operating at a higher frequency, if you're nice and clean and clear and things like that, you can attract people in because they're attracted to the shiny. They're attracted to the positivity. They're attracted to that. And sometimes they just can't handle it, which is where they'll come in. You still need to have that level of discernment around drawing the boundary and whether you let them in or not. And then if you do decide to let them in, for whatever reason you decide to do that, in however that's playing out for you, be really clear on how you're going to manage that, either that person or that energy, or manage that interaction. Almost have your rules of engagement. You know, what are the rules of engagement around how you're going to manage that? So that's that. Thanks, guys, for your comments. Karina, thank you so much for sharing that. Sandra, thank you so much for commenting in here as well, and the way that you have. It's been, you know, it's a conversation that I have with every client of mine, and it seems to be when you hit a different level, you've got other new different things that you need to deal with, and other things that you need to make yourself open to bringing in, as well as other things that we need to kind of let go. And sometimes it's not until you get to that next level that you start to realize, oh yeah, I need to let that thing go, or that person go, or that situation go, or that habit, whatever it might be. Draw your boundary, be okay with that. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we talked a little bit before about intuition. You will know, often your body will give you the signal that it's time to draw a boundary, right? And then what happens is our logical brain usually kicks in, and it might be like, oh no, that's okay. You know, it's all right. I know what I'm doing and things like that. Oh, thanks, Kathy. No problem at all. So when you get that intuitive hit, and it's like, oh, you know, it might be a feeling. Maybe you might feel a little bit sick. Maybe you feel a bit anxious. Maybe your chest kind of gets tight. Maybe you start to find it like a little bit hard. Your breathing might become a little bit more shallow. they're usually the things that I get. Sometimes you might actually physically, if you're engaging with someone, you might actually physically step back and just be really curious about, oh, okay, cool. So what is my brain telling me now? And then the brain is usually saying, oh, it's okay, they don't mean it, just stay, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You know, that's usually the pros and cons of drawing the line or whatever. It's usually easier to create that boundary then, because that the pain is less, than persevering or persisting or going on because you're worried about them versus you are only responsible for you. You can only protect you, so make sure you do that. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out. Really great to be back on the airwaves. It is the 30th of August. Oh my gosh, we've got 2 sleeps till spring. I am freaking excited, let me tell you. We are going to do Celebration Friday tomorrow, probably a little bit early and most likely from my car. I'm going to get my hair done tomorrow morning at 9, so looking forward to that. I'll chat with you all tomorrow. We've got a really big, huge day today. Another really big day tomorrow, and it's going to be great and fun and all of the amazing things. So get yourself out there, practice discernment, create boundaries. The boundaries help to create the freedom for you, and do it. Usually it's better to do it sooner rather than later. All right, awesome. Have a great day, everybody. Happy Thursday, and I'll chat with you all tomorrow. Bye.